stay here with you. You are a rainbow, so I am a lucky man. I am a lucky man. You are my favorite song. I am a lucky man. 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 I am a lucky man.
A speedy welcome to the show for everyone. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host today on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and the Speed Lane is where we talk about issues that concern our lives, our communities, even when it comes to our families and even society at large. Now, today on the show, we are talking about something that has always brought different opinions, different beliefs, and sometimes even heated arguments when it comes to even relationships and then marriage, and that is polygamy. You know, when they say a man is polygamous in nature, how true is this statement? Is this actually true? Because if this is something that people say very confidently in conversations, like it's already a fact of life, some people grow up hearing it, some people accept it's normal, while others completely disagree and then feel it's just an excuse used to justify certain behaviors in relationships. And then we also look at it from today's angle in this 2026, with how relationships are right now, with how even when it comes to the economy, even how it comes to understanding and then expectations have changed. Would you still advise your fellow man to go into a second marriage, or even, more wives, or even having, women outside of the marriage, having a woman outside of the marriage, or you yourself? Is that something you would consider? Both men and women, call in and let us hear from you. Is polygamy natural, or is it just a personal choice? What is your idea? Is it something that we can actually consider, you can actually consider in 2026? Because when we say things like that, it has to be like a personal opinion or a personal choice. So let us hear from your perspective. Is it something you can advise someone, a fellow man like you, or even from a woman advising a man, to go into in this 2026? And you yourself, is that something you would consider? You also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. We are talking about polygamy today on the Speed Lane. So call in and let us hear from you. What is your view? I mean, if you look back in time, people had different opinions, different ideas. This is what they believe. But then if we check your minds right now, like if you actually think about it right now, would you still have the same opinions that you had back then? There were certain opinions about polygamy, in the past, but then bringing it now to where we are in the world right now in this 2026, is that something you yourself as a man would consider, having more than one wives, or even taking other women, outside of your marriage? Because people say a man is polygamous in nature. Or would you even advise someone else to go into polygamy at this time and at this age? Call in and let us hear from you. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you on polygamy today. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, tell us your name and where you're calling from. Hello. All right, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and my name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this morning on the Speed Lane, we are talking about polygamy. Let us hear your opinion. Let us hear your idea, especially in this present day. How it is. Is this something you would still consider? Because people keep saying like, a man is polygamous in nature, right? So, hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning, Marysyntia Hangeior.
Oh, thank you. Good. Welcome to the show, Mr. Asen Sambe.
Yeah, that's you, I know.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Yes, I miss your program. Today, I want to be on it.
All right. Welcome to the show. Go on.
Thank you. Polygamy is the worst thing that can happen to any family.
Okay.
I don't advise any man to go into it at
Mm.
all. This is because when it comes to issue of death, when
Mm.
it comes to issue of property,
Mm.
that is where you see the dark side
Mm.
of polygamy.
Okay.
Sometimes the eldest children, they cut away everything. They don't even bring near
Mm.
other children near whatever their father had.
Mm.
And if you see carrying cutlasses and so on, it's the worst thing. I thank God I married one wife.
Okay.
It's the worst thing that can happen. You
Mm.
see what is happening now. Before, when I was growing up, my father was not even rich, but he had 5 wives.
Okay.
Fortunately or unfortunately for me, only one gave birth to a boy.
Mm.
The rest disappeared.
Mm.
So, and my mother came here as the 3rd wife.
Mm.
I had about 12 of us.
Oh, okay.
And the only surviving eldest one, we are remaining 5 now.
Mm.
So there is no problem because whatever my father has is for us.
Okay.
But when you have another wife, when they start share, that is where problems come in.
Mm.
Man, I wouldn't advise anybody. Like I said before, even your wife, if you are barren, she will decide to go and look for a wife for you to marry.
Mm.
Who will do that now?
Mm-hmm.
Who? Which woman?
Okay.
You see problems in your house, you can't rest.
Mm.
So to me, nobody should mention that type of thing again. If you want to live well and longer, don't go near polygamy at all.
All right.
So women are dangerous.
Mm.
They are wicked. If the other one has children, that is where you start seeing so many other kind of diseases coming in the family. Because that one has a child like this, you will grow up to be like this. You see so many things. I mean, I don't subscribe to it a bit.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, sir, for calling in to be part of the show
Thank you.
this morning. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and this morning on the Speed Lane we are talking about polygamy. So let us get your calls. Let us hear what you think about polygamy in this time and age. Would you advise someone to go into that, or you yourself, would you still consider that? Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Please, this number was for my sister. I don't know how you network.
Okay, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and we are talking about polygamy. You also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Would you still consider polygamy in this time and age? You as a man, would you even advise someone else, to go inside? They keep saying that a man is polygamous in nature. Has that fact changed now? It used to be considered, a fact. So has it changed right now? Have people changed their mindset, or is it the same? Is it something maybe that cannot be stopped? Is it something that nothing can be done about it? Let us get your own opinions, because everyone has to speak for their own selves when it comes to topics like this, because no one can tell you that this is the way to go. While some people might say, I have to do this, or I believe that I have to be polygamous, if not, it's not going to work for me. There are people who are strongly against it, and we heard from Mr. Asen Sambe. He says polygamy is the worst thing that can happen to any family. According to him, it's the worst thing that can happen to any family when it comes to families, and when it comes to all those inheritance, and when death happens, that is when you start seeing the fight here and there. The families that you struggle to build together, everybody starts finding those differences, between themselves. You are the first wife, I am the second wife. This is how it should be. This is what you should take. Different things. Siblings against each other, fighting for inheritance, conflicts in families. So according to him, it's too many issues. And if you want to live well, he wouldn't advise anyone to go into polygamy. So let us hear from you this morning on the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. Tell us what you think of polygamy in this time and age. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Now let's start from that statement itself. That statement of a man is polygamous in nature. It is one of those statements that many people have heard for a long time, and over time it has almost started to sound like a rule instead of a belief. But when you really sit down and think about it, the question is it actually something natural, or is it just something that has just been repeated so much that people now accept it without questioning? And would you apply that to yourself, or would you say that it doesn't apply to you as a man? Because nature suggests something that cannot be controlled, something that applies to everyone in the same way. But relationships are not that simple, right? People are different, values are different, discipline is different, choices are different. So while some people use that statement to explain why men may want more than one partner, others see it as something that is influenced by environment, opportunity, and even personal decision rather than nature itself. And that is where this conversation really begins, not just accepting the statement but understanding what people actually mean when they say it, and whether it should still be there, the foundation of how relationships are viewed today. So call in and let us hear from you. What is your own idea? What is your own opinion about polygamy today? If we look at the recent times where the world is now, some people tell you about factors like, even with the economy, one cannot afford to be able to take care of this, to be able to take care of more than one families. But some persons still maintain that is the way to go, or it is how a man's nature is and it cannot be stopped. So let us hear your opinion on our topic of discussion this morning. As a man, would you consider polygamy in this time and age, or would you even advise someone else to look at polygamy in this time and age, in this 2026? Because we have to name it, right? Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. We are talking about polygamy. So call in and let us hear from you. Let us hear what you think. Let us hear if you had maybe a different opinion back then and you have a new opinion, because sometimes people change, right? That is what I was saying even right from the start. People who had the same opinions of, well, this is how it should be, this is how a man should be, and then they maybe grow up, or change just happens, and then they change their minds. Well, this is my new way of thinking, or this is how I have accepted, or this is what I want to be right now. So let us hear from you. And bringing it to even real life situations, opinion become even more divided. There are people who feel that a man chooses to have more than one wife and everything is done openly, then at least there is clarity, no secrecy, no hidden relationships, no confusion about roles. Everything is known and responsibilities are defined. And most people even think that, okay, this is going to prevent cheating, the rainy thing these days of people going out even after having a wife, even after having this, going out to still look for other women. And some persons say that it's like a way of avoiding things like that to actually happen, so that it is not a secret, so that it is not considered a bad thing. But let us hear what you think. Let us hear what your opinion is. And the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. We are talking about polygamy today on the Speed Lane. So call in and let us hear your opinion. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, Marysyntia.
Yes. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Timothy Father calling from North Bank, Makurdi.
All right. Welcome to the show, Timothy.
Yeah. If I can hear you well, you were talking about polygamy of it.
Yes.
My sister, I want to let you know that polygamy is not a bad thing. Although I am married, I'm a single wife. But you see, if you can remember days back, somebody in Edinwoke was talking about if a man stands with one leg, it's not balanced. But the man that stands with two legs is balanced. Whether you come with four, sometimes you push him, he cannot fall. Talk more of him that stands with three legs. That is, he's married with three wives.
Okay.
So if you look at it, our people, you see, many people are not taught. But you see, instead of living a hypocritical life, why not marry the woman that you can? Because I want to assure you that one wife is no qualification to the kingdom of God.
Okay.
Nobody should convince any human being on earth because one wife is no qualification to the kingdom of God. But people take it to be qualification because I know many people that are wedded with their wife in the church, but they sleep with more than 10 women outside. That is called hypocrisy. So if somebody know that he can marry more than 2 or 4 wives and can be able to live the life he wants,
hello.
Individual's wish is that person's wish. He can marry as much as he can marry, but if he know that he want to live a standard of life that he want to avoid, let him marry one wife, but let him stop living a hypocritical life, which I don't like. Many of the church people are living that hypocritical life.
Okay.
They are wedded. They will show you a ring in their finger, and they go out sleeping with committed adultery, more than 10 wives, more than 10 women outside, which is very, very wrong. My sister, it's better if you know you can marry more than one. Marry. In fact, there's something bad about it. Ned Walker already said it, and he is right. His theory is right.
Okay, so you said you're married to one wife, right?
I marry one.
Okay.
But I still stand the chance to marry more than that.
Okay, all right. We get you. Thank you so much for calling in, Timothy, to be part of the show this morning. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this morning on the Speed Lane, we are talking about polygamy. You also can call in to be part of this conversation. And the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear your thoughts on polygamy. Would you still consider polygamy today, or would you even advise someone else to consider polygamy, today? Is it something that you think is just natural and it should flow for you? I mean, it all depends on opinions and then personal choices, because no one can actually impose it on another person. It just has to do with the way they actually look at it. So let us hear how you look at it. What are your thoughts on polygamy? Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. And we heard from Mr. Timothy, and he says, in his opinion, polygamy is not a bad thing. And if a man stands with one leg, he's using something that he got, he said someone mentioned, and he heard that if a man stands with one leg, he's not balanced. That means the more wives, the more balance. Instead of being hypocrite, why not just marry those wives and then know that, okay, you have the wives, instead of just doing other stuff outside. And he mentioned about some persons say, well, I'm staying with one wife, or I am doing this with one wife, and then the next thing they are still outside and they're looking for things that they deny or things that they claim to stand against outside. So let us hear from you. Let us hear what your thoughts are on polygamy. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you on the Speed Lane. We are talking about polygamy, and people have different thoughts. This has been a topic that has been on, from for long, that always strikes those conversations, that people always have different opinions. And if you look at society today, you will notice that opinions have slightly changed, and it was more like everyone would accept it, like this is the truth, a man is polygamous in nature, and that is the only truth. But then people are getting to a point these days that, okay, some people are kicking against it for whatever reasons that they have, which is what we want to hear about today. Let us hear what your new thoughts are. Is it the same as you thought, back then, or is it something that has changed? And what actually influenced the change, if you have changed? Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. some people who would choose polygamy, even today, they talk about how it's open and honest structure, no hiding other relationships outside, since they believe that, okay, a man is polygamous in nature. And how true is that statement? Let us call and let us share those experiences, or let us hear your thoughts on how true that statement of a man is polygamous in nature. I mean, a man himself should be able to know that, okay, this is what goes through my mind, this is what goes through my head. So what is it actually, or what is the answer? How true is that statement of a man is polygamous in nature? Would you still consider polygamy in this time and age? Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you this morning on polygamy. Tell us what you think, what your thoughts are when they say a man is polygamous in nature. How true is this statement? And would you consider polygamy in this time and age? Would you ask someone else, like would you advise someone else to also consider that in this time and age? And people talk about companionship is always available. I mean, there are it's more like a big family for people, more support. The more people in the family, the more support. And some even say it reduces cheating outside of marriage. And those are people that actually accept that a man is polygamous in nature. But let us keep hearing your thoughts. Let us hear what you think. If you think that this statement is true, or if you think that it's not, let us hear whatever reasons that you have backing that up. And some persons say there are bad sides to it, just like we heard from a caller earlier, Mr. Asensambe, who spoke about maybe even a rivalry between partners, jealousy, unequal attention, and even favoritism. And for also the economy, that is one thing. That is one thing that people always mention when it comes to polygamy today. The first thing they'll tell you, like, in this economy, you want me to take care of this, you want me to do this, you want me to strain myself financially. So let us have all of those thoughts in mind also. And even keeping aside some of the things that people consider factors that should be stopping them from going into polygamy today, and tell us what you think, what your thoughts are on that saying of a man is polygamous in nature. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. They say a man needs multiple partners to avoid even prostrate. They say a man is wired not to be with one woman. I mean, we hear all these thoughts out there. You hear it in different conversations, men defending, some women defending, but we see home being broken. Divorce is on the high, children are being affected, a lot of things happen due to this polygamy. So do we still stand with that saying? How true is that saying, that is just the nature of the man, and then we just have to flow with it like that? We just have to find ways to fix the problem instead of addressing it from the start. Let us hear your thoughts are on polygamy this morning. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and I'm your host on the show this morning. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and we are talking about polygamy. So call in and let us hear your thoughts. Are you one that will consider that today? And do you believe that statement? Like, is it true to you that a man is polygamous in nature? And there is nothing that can be done about that, because some men themselves actually refuse that and say, well, that is not the case for me. I'm able to stay with one woman and then just leave. And other people feel like there is no possible way. If you enter some of these conversations, like if you've being in the middle of some of these conversations, you notice people say things like, well, there is no way. Maybe some will tell you that we are not like that, but then if you check down, it means that they are hiding something. So let us hear what you think. Let us hear what your thoughts are on polygamy today. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Call in and share your thoughts on polygamy this morning on the Speed Lane. And I was talking about how some people who kick against polygamy talk about difficulty in managing fairness and balance. Like, okay, this is something that definitely, like, everyone will not get the same kind of attention, and some people want to avoid that right from the start, which is why they just kick against it. I don't want to have to deal with a situation where I am not giving the same kind of affection, to all the wives or all the children, and then before you know it, that rivalry, that sibling rivalry is just slowly building up in the families. And I mentioned broken families earlier because people support this and then say, okay, a man is polygamous in nature, or that is how it's supposed to be. So why is it leading to some persons, ending up in broken homes, with instead of getting peace from that nature that the man has chosen? Instead, it's war, in the families, it's this and it's that. Let us hear from you. Or do you think that people who get to that stage where they are no longer peaceful because of the decisions that they have made regarding polygamy, do you think that there is something that they actually do wrong, that you feel that, okay, in yourself, if you're advocating for it, then for yourself, then there is something that you would do better to actually keep the family together, or to avoid some of these problems that people state that polygamy comes with? Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear your thoughts on polygamy this morning on the speed lane. And so far, we have heard from two persons who have different opinions. Our first caller mentioned how polygamy is the worst thing that can happen to any family, because when it comes to families, especially at death, and then when people talk about polygamy on the bad side, the first thing that they mentioned is, okay, when you die, this is what is going to happen. So what about when you are alive? Is it peaceful when you are alive, or does it have to do with the way you're able to maybe manage the home, the way you're able to set the ground for peace to actually reign? Is that peace actually possible to reign in that kind of environment, even when it comes to inheritance issues, that people talk about? And he mentioned that if you want to live well, according to him, his idea is that if you want to live well, then you shouldn't consider polygamy, and he won't advise anyone in this time and age to actually consider polygamy. And then someone else said polygamy is not a bad thing, and if a man stands with one leg, he's not balanced. He heard that from somewhere, and that is something I would say people should pay attention to, and then try to understand. If a man stands with one leg, he's not balanced, but that means the more wives, the more balance. So if anyone wants to go to the highest level of balance, does that mean he has to take even as much as maybe even 20 wives, and then even more than that? Because I'm sure everyone wants balance. Would someone be able to handle all of that simply because they are trying to find that balance? Call in and let us hear whatever your opinion is, what side you are on, if you would still consider polygamy in this time and age, or just what you think about it in general, and how true is that statement when they say a man is polygamous in nature, when they say a man is not wired to be with one woman. Let us hear from the perspective of the man. The men should speak up for themselves and either defend or maybe even push aside this statement. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you on polygamy. Hello. All right, we cannot hear you, but you can still call us back. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. We are talking about polygamy. So call in and let us hear your opinion. How true is that statement? A man is polygamous in nature. People keep saying that. So how true is that statement? For you as a man, are you polygamous in nature? Do you believe yourself to be? And also, would you consider polygamy in this time? Would you also advise someone else, maybe your fellow man, to even go into polygamy? Seeing the way things are, ideas have changed, even when it comes to the economy that people talk about. And people keep saying that these are the effects. I want peace and I want peace. Some people believe that, okay, getting that peace is with one woman, just one marriage. And other people believe that getting that peace is with multiple, because you have you're not lacking any companion, and then you it's even saves you from even going out there and then maybe doing immoral things. Because when it becomes when it becomes something that you did in the open, like you accepted it, you spoke to your wife and then took that wife in, then it's considered like, okay, you're not doing something bad. Except when it becomes a hidden affair outside the marriage. So whatever it is you think, let us hear from you. And the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. And then there are some persons who believe that, okay, it's both good and bad. There are people who believe that it's both good and bad. There are some persons are of the opinion that anything that is good also has the bad sides. And if you check well, for the things that are bad, there are also good sides to it. Some persons argue that, okay, there are ups and downs, advantages and disadvantages. And for most people, that would tell you, okay, the disadvantages are more. In the past, people would actually state that maybe the advantages are more. But these days, people talk about how the disadvantages are more than the advantages. So we'll be looking at some of the things that people say. Some people say there is more support in raising children, support from here, if from different mothers. Is one person is lacking in this area, then the other mother is able to like fill in for that space. And also open and recognize relationships. There is no issue of, okay, I found out that my husband was having an affair outside of his family. Also reduce loneliness for the man in his home. Some people who believe that it is his nature say that it reduces that loneliness. Also stronger extended family structure in some cultures. Financial labor and contribution. Now this is the thing, when I talk about how some people believe that there are advantages and disadvantages, while some persons will say that there is stronger finances, labor contribution, because everyone is contributing something, like many hands are working. Some people actually believe that it's draining, because whatever money you're making or whatever you're getting, you have to spend on that many people. And for the disadvantages, for people who would say that it has both, they say they talk about jealousy in the family, one person against each other, who is the favorite wife or who is the favorite child or who is the favorite family, or even unequal attention from the husband, which is one topic that people talk about the most. How the attention maybe can never be equal. People talk about no matter who you are, there is no way that you're able to give equal attention to everyone. Hello. There is no way you're able to give equal attention to everyone. Some people think that as long as it's a polygamous family where there are multiple wives, maybe there are multiple children, there is no way that all the attention. Hello. Okay, it's too low over there, so make sure you maybe try to call us back again. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and this morning we are talking about polygamy. You also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Let us hear your thoughts on polygamy. Let us hear what you think, if you would consider that in this time and age, or what is your opinion on it in general. Now, there is a growing expectation that success, there is a growing expectation that success in a polygamous home, is just depending on how the man is able to take care of the family, like for it to not fall apart, for those families to not remain broken. But then if we look at people who are actually in that kind of polygamous structure, how many persons or how many families are actually strong together, and we don't have another wife who is living at a different place, we don't have other children that are being neglected, we don't have a favorite wife or the least favorite wife? How many families can actually boast of that? I mean, if you are out there, you can still call in and share with us, okay, this is my family and this is what we do, and you can assure that the love is always equal for all the wives, for all the children. And most of the time what we hear is the bad sides, right? What we hear is actually the bad sides. Okay, this is what it caused, this is what it led to. One wife is maybe ganging up against the other wife. We even hear things that go extreme to the point of, okay, someone is even ending another person's life, like one person is that much against the other person, or people even start plotting things for innocent children in the picture, because people forget that things like this, it's not actually the child's it's not the child's decision. The children are just there in the picture because parents decided to have them. But sometimes even the children grow to suffer consequences of these actions. Maybe parents chose that polygamy and were unable to make that structure a safe one, you know, for the child to actually grow in without getting threatened, without getting, you know, other family members ganging up against them. There are people who deliberately, you know, some whites who deliberately try to raise a child to be against the other, you know, their co-wives, to be against their step sibling, simply because, okay, maybe they consider that family a threat, that wife a threat to inheritance or to their space. You know, there are different ideas that people come up with, different things that leads to those broken homes, but somehow people say that it is a man's nature to be polygamous. So call in and let us hear from you. Number for you to call is 08084 asking. That is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. We are talking about polygamy, so call in and let us hear from you quickly before we go. How true is that statement? It's a man's nature to be polygamous, or would you even consider polygamy in this time and age? You personally, would you go towards that direction, or would you even advise anyone out there to do? And this is one of those conversations that we always have different sides, no matter how many times it's discussed. Like the only difference from now and then is, okay, people are becoming more that is not the peace, and the peace now is to be with one woman. But back then people will tell you that, okay, it's having those many women, it's having those many women that are the peace. But right now most people are pulling out from that, you know, mentality. However, there are still people that are there, and everyone has their reasons, and some people will continue to believe that it is nature, some people will say it is culture, others will insist that it is simply a personal choice and discipline. But beyond all that, the real conversation people are having today is what actually works in real life, what brings peace, what brings understanding and stability in these families and relationships in this modern time. Because at the end of the day, people are not only thinking about belief systems, they are talking about what they can live with, what they can manage, and what brings balance in their lives. So whatever it is for you, I hope that you are making the right decisions, and you look at these matters critically before even taking further steps, and just saying, okay, because people are saying that this is a man's nature, you go in there. If you don't believe so, then it's better to actually go with what works for you and what you believe. And I've been with you on the speed lane this morning. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and also we have been talking about polygamy and how true it is when people say it's a man's nature to be polygamous, and if you would still consider polygamy in this time and age. And well, that's it. So coming up next at 10 a.m. is King James 90s Top 10 right here on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And until then, the music won't stop, so keep enjoying music of your life, and don't forget to remember to keep listening to Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM.
This is Asking Radio 98.5.